Hi guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how to take a photo and turn it into an oil painting. Hi guys and welcome to Calvin Designs. My name is Calvin and I design, and that's why it's called Calvin Designs. In this episode I'm going to show you how to turn a photograph into an oil painting using Corel Painter. Now don't worry if you don't have this program, you can download it for free and have it fully functioning for 30 days, and I put the link right below this video. To subscribe to my YouTube channel, click right here and you'll get all the tutorials as they come out. And if you want to get the source files to follow along this tutorial and all my other tutorials, click right here to subscribe to my newsletter and get all these free files. So in this episode, we're going to take this photograph and turn it into a painting like this. Pretty cool. It's actually a lot of fun, doesn't take very long, and it's using Painter, which is a cool little program. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to turn a photograph into a painting, which is pretty cool. And if you go to painterartist.com, and I'll actually put this link below the video so you can get right to this page. And if you don't have this program, just click on the download trial and you get a 30-day fully working trial. It'll ask you to put in your email once you're installed. And just go ahead and do that, and then you can follow along this tutorial. You can obviously buy the full version if you want to. And to get the portrait that I'm going to show in this tutorial, just go to my website, calvindesigns.com, and click on Sign Up, and put in your name and email, and you will get access to the photo that I will be using in this tutorial. So this photo, which is right here, I'm going to go ahead and drag this down into Painter to open it up. And all right, so it's a photo of my friend Hélène, and we're going to turn this into a painting. I'm trying not to put too much detail, but just so you can really get a good idea of how to do this. So a few things. When you first load it, you won't have this little papers thing. So to get that, go to Window, and down here you have Paper Panels, and just open up the papers. And you can basically pick all kinds of different paper that it will simulate. So I'm going to go ahead and do this on the Rib Pastel. Kind of has an organic feel that I like. All right, and then up here, so you're going to click on the brush tool, and then here you basically have all the brush selections that you can do. So you can see there's quite a few, and while I'm not going to go over quite that many of these in here for this tutorial, I want to show you how to easily turn a photograph into a painting. So I'm going to use the coarse oily blender. Whoops, right here, coarse oily blender. It gives you a little simulation down here of what that looks like. So it's pretty cool. You can kind of navigate through these and see, how does this work? Oh, the oily blender looks like that, and so on. So I like the coarse one. It's pretty, anyway, you'll see what it looks like. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, well, actually the first thing I often suggest when I do this is if you do try on your own photo, it actually works, it seems to work better on a smaller photo. So if you have a really big professional headshot or a photo, I really suggest you downsample it, meaning you make it smaller in Photoshop, for example, and then blow it up a little bit, but you don't want to have all the photographic detail. Now this one is actually not that big. It has quite a bit of detail, but we'll get rid of that in a second. So you can zoom in and out similarly to Photoshop, Command plus, Command minus, and you can do it right here in the window. So I'm going to go ahead and do it with the keyboard shortcuts here, Command plus. All right, and as in Photoshop, the space bar is the hand tool. So I'm going to start actually with the hair. And another really important point is, while you can do this using a mouse, it is much nicer to do with a tablet because it is pressure sensitive and the angle of the pen actually matters. So I really recommend you use a tablet, but you can do this with a mouse. And still get really good results. So I'm going to start here. I have a 20 size. It's pretty decent. There's the opacity, the grain that I want, and I'm not going to play with any of the jitter. Okay, so I'm just going to start. And what I start with is I try to redraw as if I was drawing over in the same direction as, well, in this case, the hair. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I just go over like this, and I'm trying to essentially do the same
movement that her hair is doing. And here we go. Something like that. Go up here. And I try not to be too precise. I try to give nice big strokes so that it doesn't have all the precision that the photograph has. And we can always come back and edit this a little bit. But here, I'm going to do this. On the edge here, I want it to really have that paint feel. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice, strong, evident look that it doesn't look like it's a photo. Something like this. If I feel that my color has gone a little too far, I can always bring it back a little bit like this. And it's kind of like the smudge tool, if you're familiar with the smudge tool in Photoshop, except it has a really cool, in this case, oil paint look to it. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this as much as I can, and try to keep really big strokes because I don't want there to be too much detail. Now again, you can do this with very small brushes and get a very different look. I'm going to try to do this in a few minutes. I don't want to take an hour of your time. So, and I feel that in many cases, sometimes that really done quickly and with fewer strokes, it actually looks. I mean, it's a different style of painting, but I really like it. So here we go, something like this, and I'm going to try to take this out. And all right, so for the background here, I'm going to try to maintain the radius. You see how there's like lightness over here, darkness over here. I'm going to try to simulate this, and I'm just going to basically make a bunch of lines. I'm going to zigzag up here to mix the paint in here, and then I'm going to go back and put the direction of the light back to how it was, which was not, it was more circular. So I'm going to do that. Try to take some of the dark paint back in here a little bit, and something like this. All right, and maybe bring a little bit more of this black into here, just to. It feels like I'm mixing the paint, which is pretty cool. It has a really organic feel. I don't use this program very much, but whenever I have to make a painting or turn a photograph into a painting, it's really what I prefer. It's actually fun. I do this for a living, but I feel like I'm not working when I'm doing this. So I try to mix the paint a little bit in here, get rid of all that photographic grain that we have in there, and then I go back and I kind of try to give it more of a painted feel to it, and I try to always go with the direction of the light. That's pretty important. And we can go in there and modify that after again, but you kind of get the idea. All right, got some hair here. I'm going to try to bring this in like this. Try to keep some of that blonde highlight that she has. Don't want to lose all of it. The dark colors have a tendency to overshadow the lighter colors, so something to keep in mind. If you feel that your painting is getting too dark, just try to bring some of the highlights back by bringing the highlights over the shadows. So something like this. All right, and in here, I'm going to try to curl it up a little bit. I like that. It kind of looks nice. Again, I don't want to I don't want to give too many small strokes. I want it to be a little more of an impression. Something like this. All right, something like there. Give that little strand here. Anyway, I essentially try to cover all the pixels of the photograph. If you have a couple that are snuck by, it's not the worst thing. But the more you cover them, obviously, the more organic your painting is going to look. All right, here's the background. I'm just going to try to give that a little light direction like this. And same over here. The first thing I try to do when I have backgrounds like this is I try to just get rid of the grain, and then I kind of go over it again and try to just make the direction of the light a little more not as obvious, a little more discreet. Something like this. I like that. And all right, here the brush strokes are a little too strong, so I'm just gonna yeah, so if you do have a palette, and even if you're not very used to using it, it feels so organic, so it shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, it's a lot of fun discovering these tools, and it really, it's so organic. This program is actually really organic that it doesn't take a lot of practice to get this nice look. All right, and I'm gonna get this little bit here. I want a little darker. All right, something like this. I still have a few hairs in here, but again, I can see that afterwards. And here, try not to have too many. I want it to look like I have a big brush, so something like this. There we go. And so the hair over the face, I'm going to try to make it seem like it was not too many brush strokes. Try to make it as smooth as possible. Something like that. And then here's, oops, that's too dark. Command Z to undo, as in most programs, or Control Z on a PC. And get in here. All right. There we go. Okay. And then I'll bring the background down a little bit as well. Get rid of that strand. That's not too big a deal. Okay, and more in here. There we go. Bring this a little bit, and then bring the hair over it. Okay. And I got a little bit of her ear still showing. I don't want that. And smudge her skin down here. Something like this. This should work fine. Okay. And then on the shirt, I'm just gonna follow the lines of the shirt. And if I want to get a little more, you can softly go on the if you're using a mouse, just turn the pressure down here, or the opacity, and then just kind of go over it. On a tablet, just do it lightly, and it'll streak much less. Oops. And all right, so then let's get into the skin a little bit. Well, I'm gonna actually do the surrounding first. So I'm gonna try to do this as softly as possible. I don't want very many hard lines on her face. So, but there is a direction. I feel like there's a direction that goes like this and a direction that goes like this. So I'm going to try to do that, but very softly, lightly, many strokes over one another, and something like this. And I can always come back and give bigger strokes, harsher, and pulling more of the paint with me. But for now, I'm just doing it softly to get rid of the photographic grain. I mean, this picture was pretty sharp, and you can see all the pores and all that. So something like this. I've actually noticed that when I do this, this is actually a professional photo that I took with what did I take? That 7D, Canon 7D, I think. And I've noticed that photos that I've taken with like my phone or something that is smaller and much less controlled light tend to work a little better on the painting side, because I have a lot less detail, and I just have very big sections, so that works nice. All right, so here on the eyebrows, I obviously follow the form of the eyebrow, and I'm trying to draw over that, and something like this, and I'll do the same over here, and something like that. I try to get rid of the photographic grain again, and we can come and fine-tune a little more later, but that's pretty good for now. Go over here. All right, I don't want there to be strong lines, so I feel like I'm just blurring it a little bit by going over and over and over. Something like this. Oops, a little too strong over here. Okay, and let's zoom in a little more around her eyes. And here I'm just gonna get rid of all this. Again, I'm following the light. I'm following the existing lines on her face, really. Something like this. Okay. And now if I did too strong, I would end up having very many strong lines on her face, which It's a different style. It's a little unflattering for a woman. It might work better with a photo of a man. So I like the sort of softness of this, and we can go in after and give it some more obvious paint brushes. So something like this. All right, I'm gonna blur this up here like this. Oops, don't want too many lines in here. Okay, kind of mix that a little bit. It almost feels like I have a palette of colors and I'm just really mixing. Something in here like this. Okay. And yeah, so it's a little meticulous. Takes a little bit of time, but this is not just a filter. In the end, you're really giving the look that you want. It's not just liquefy, or not liquefy, but the oil painting filters you have in Photoshop, where you have some control, but you don't really have all the doesn't have that paint look. I mean, the end result, really, you'll see in a minute here, does not justify. So here we try to follow the lines again on her chin here. Soften that. Okay. All right, here I'm actually gonna put some hair over here, and I'm gonna cut this up a little bit. I'm cheating a little bit. Something like that. All right, and then I'm gonna go in here and take out all the grain. If I do this too fast, I'll end up having too many streaks on her face, which I don't want. Not yet, anyway. Here. Okay. Get a little more here. That's pretty good. A little bit over here. All right, let's do down here. We'll get to her mouth and eyes in a second. I just want to get the bigger sections done here. So again, I'm just following the lines that already exist in this photo, trying to follow the light. In this case, it goes down here, not too strongly. Bring some of that back up. And this definitely goes this way. And then I try to mix up here. I don't want to have too many harsh mixes. So something like this. All right. It's taking a little bit of time, but I mean, you'll try this yourself. It's actually kind of fun. I really enjoy doing this. This kind of work is always fun for me. And let me just bring this a notch up here. Yeah. Okay, now let's take a smaller brush to do the mouth. Something like 10's fine, something like that. And okay, now I'm going to zoom in, Command plus twice, and I'm going to try to do this. Try to do this as straight as possible. Not too many smudges, or you're going to maintain too much of the detail. But I'm essentially trying to simplify what I have here. So something like this. Keep some of those lines in there. It's nice. And the rest I can just, there we go, something like that. Around her lips here. There we go. All right, we're starting to get something. Bring some of that shadow over here. Some of this highlight. Something like this. All right, let's zoom out a little bit and see what we got. Not bad. 150, 100%. Still have a little too much detail, so I'm going to go ahead and make this brush back to about 20. And just give it a little bit more motion, side to side motion. Something like that. I can even make her smile a little more. Something like that. Okay. Oop, not that one. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now I'm gonna do the nose. Same thing. I'm going to take a smaller brush because it's a little more detailed. Something like this, and then here, clean up around here, and try to. Whoop. Yep, I gotta keep that shadow in there for her nostril. And something like that, that kind of works. And then let's take a bigger brush again, 20-ish, and let's see what happens if I'm trying to get rid of some of this detail. So there we go. That's not bad. Our highlight can stay there. That's not bad. Yeah, sometimes once in a while I add a little stronger stroke to kind of give you that look of a paintbrush. All right, and here I'm just gonna soften above her eye. Still have a pretty big brush. And for now I'm just softening, going always in the direction of the light. And something like this. Okay, and then now I'm gonna take a smaller brush, about 10, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to draw over her eyes here. I'm trying to get rid of all this little pixel detail, and then I can just kind of bring some of those eyelashes she had. Now when we're looking at this really big, it might look strange, but when we zoom out, it should look pretty decent. Some of her shadows here, and something like that, and same underneath. Okay, and here I'm just going to blur this out a little bit, and it's not bad. All right, now for the eye itself, well, I'm going to take this and blur this out. The white, I'm going to try to just smudge it a little bit, just to kind of mix those colors in there. I don't want any sharp lines. Same here. Okay, and then for the eye, I start with the pupil. I just kind of mix in here to make it as round as I can. And then I go in here and I kind of go circularly around. I try to keep some of the highlights. And there we go. You don't want too much detail. There's no way you're going to paint with these big strokes all this detail in an eye. So going over it a couple of times is probably a good idea. Keep some of the highlights if you can. Keep the pupil as round as you can. A few abnormalities is actually not a bad idea because you're simulating oil painting. So, all right, something like this, and then let's do the other one. And I'm going to start up here. And so, following that line, do this line over here. Okay, try to simplify these lines a little bit, and then down on the bottom here, and then the pupil, something like this. You can do the whites up here. Oh, I forgot to do this bit here. So something like that, and then maybe a few little lines to show her eyelashes. Okay, and then down here, kind of mix these white a little bit, doing little circular motions. Okay, and then same over here. And then I do the actual eye here. Keep some of that highlight. And keep this nice and circular. Try to keep it dark. And these colors are pretty nice, so up, something like that. Okay. And let's zoom out. Not bad. It's starting to look like something. I still see some grain, some of that skin grain in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a bigger brush here, and I'm gonna try to take this out. Many small little strokes. I don't want it to be like what I don't want is big things like that. It's not exactly what I wanted to have in this. You can make a painting like that. It's just not what I wanted here. Okay, I'm gonna blur these edges out. Something like this. Ooh, still have definite hair showing here. And one thing I try to do on faces, I try to soften hard angles a little bit, just because, I don't know, it seems more organic. So like here it's a little sharp, and I try to keep those as soft as possible. I'm gonna go back here. I did this streak I don't like. Something like this, that's fine. All right, and then here in the hair, when I have really small strokes, I don't really like that. So I'm gonna try to make it so that I have what looks like longer strokes. Oops. Like this. This interesting color here, this mix of blonde and black and gray. It's kind of nice. All right, so something like this. And I can see this, there's a little more motion in this side. I'm gonna try to replicate that a little bit over here. So something like this. Okay. All right, well, that's not bad. I like that. I still see a few hairs here. Essentially, you're trying to simplify. So, all right, I still have a little bit too much detail up here. Oops, not that. Here too. I'm trying to roughen up the edges here because otherwise it's too sharp. It doesn't look very organic. Something like that. Here. And all right, we're coming close to an end. Now you can, if I want, I could take a pretty big brush here, something like this, and I wanted to give it a little bit more of a painted look, so I kind of blend all this again and give it some paint strokes. Try not to get into the eyes too much because you will change it. One thing I do, however, is with a big brush like this, I go in the middle of the eye and I just give it a tiny nudge. That's too much. I just wanted to give it a little bit of I don't want it to be all grainy like this, so I could actually try to just turn the grain down a notch and something like that. I don't want it all perfect the way it is right now. So something like that, and I just click and drag a tiny notch, something like a pixel or two, and it just gives it that extra sort of painted look. And here in the mouth, like that, and the chin a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we have our basic painting. And the next thing that I do, you can adjust this in Photoshop and do whatever you want with it, but within Painter, what I like doing, I'm actually just gonna get rid of this little, still see a little bit. There's always seems to be an endless, always find things. But to make this simple, I wanna add a little more of that painted look so we can really see it. So what I'm gonna do here is go to Effects and apply a surface texture. And you can see here, it took this paper that I had that was down selected down here in the papers. And okay, it's much too strong. I really don't want it this strong. So I'm going to tone it down with the amount. And let's see what it looks like inverted. I prefer it like this. I really want it really toned down. Something like this. So it looks like you did it on a canvas or something like that. Really down. This is really minor. I don't want it to be. Don't want to touch that. Shine, more or less shine. Don't want it too shiny. I really wanted a tiny bit there. In fact, I'm going to go with 3. All right, hit OK. And then I go again in Effects, Apply Surface Texture, but this time, instead of paper, I go to Image Luminance. And it basically, you see it's taking all my little brush strokes, and it's, again, much too strong. So I'm going to tone this way down, and let's see, before, after. Gives it kind of a beveled look to the paint, which I really like. So let's see. And you can actually, let's say I bring it up higher, you can soften it a little bit, which I don't want. I want it to be I want it to be like it was painted. Not too much though. These things usually, these filters tend to work best at a very, very light rate. So before, after, well, can't see it that well. So I'm actually going to darken it a little bit, bring it up a notch, something like that. Part of the problem is I feel like the texture that I applied earlier is a little too strong. So I'm actually going to go and cancel this. I'm going to undo my last, which was the first texture. Go back here, apply surface texture, and so this is back. I'm back to the paper, and I'm gonna do it really, really light, something like 2%. 2% over here. Take the shine down. Maybe take the picture down a notch. Just gonna darken a little bit. And my light controls I'm not gonna change. I could actually take the exposure of the light. Nah, I'm gonna leave this back to how it was. Somewhere around here. All right, so it's just really a minor. Let's see, before, after. It's giving a tiny bit of texture, so that's fine. And then now I do it again, and this time I'm gonna do the luminance. Let's see what 3D brush stroke. No, that's not what I want. Image luminance, and this basically, see how it follows all these. It looks like all these were obviously much too strong. But so let's turn this down, and it's not bad. I'm sorry, I'm doing this the third time. I'm gonna undo that texture, and let's just try it with exclusively. The problem I'm having is that it's so soft on her skin that the texture of the paper is coming out much more than the strokes. So this is more what I want, except it's too strong. So I'm gonna tone it down, maybe turn some of that shine down a little bit. But I really like the relief for the 3D-ness of the strokes. See, before, after, gives it a nice, a really nice, real painted feel to it. So that's pretty cool, and it's pretty amazing what this program does. All right, maybe just a tad lower, something like this. That's always hard to find the exact minute differences, but I like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. And the native file format for this is I'm gonna save it. I think it's a riff file, painter riff file. So I'm gonna save this in that same folder. Let's just open this up in here, and I'm gonna save this. That way, when you download the file, you can actually download this as well. And there you go. So I hope you liked this. If you did, please leave me a comment on my YouTube channel, and share it with your friends if you can. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, I hope you liked that episode. And if you did like it, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you like it, do share it on Facebook or Google+. It really helps me out. Thank you, and I'll see you next episode.